how can ships this big and with this amount of weight float while pebbles and small things sink?
I don't know. It's a really complex thing to understand, I think.
Well, it's not so complex. That's why Andres and me are going to explain you how can ships float.
So first, we're going to have to understand some principles that are really important to understand this concept. The first one is buoyancy. Buoyancy is the relationship between the ship density and the water density. So here we have three cases that can happen. The first one is when the ship density is greater than the water density, and that's sinking. And it's going to be negative buoyancy. The second one is when the ship density is equal to the water density. That's a hover suspended, and it's going to be a neutral buoyancy. And the third one and last one, it's when the ship density is less than the water density, and that's floating, being a positive buoyancy, and that's the one we are looking for to understand how ships float. The next principle is the water displacement. Water displacement is understood when an object will always displace an amount of water equal to its weight. What happens is that when an object is introduced into the water, it's going to displace the same amount, the same volume of water that the volume of the boat that is in the water. So here the water is displaced, and then the water level raises because the water is not more here, but it's going to be on the sides of the boat. That's how that is understood with the positive buoyancy. And what we conclude of these two principles is that the buoyancy force is equal to the weight of displaced water.
But how does these principles make ships float? Well, it's really easy. Ships float because of 4 reasons. The first one is that ships are almost hollow. That means that they have a lot of space in their inside, and that space is full with air, so that could be loaded. The second one is that ships are less dense. This is because of the materials they are constructed with. The third one is that the large surface that the ships have at the bottom make a lot of water displaced. And this also, if you have noticed, boats have a concave shape that makes them float over the water and makes them move easily. If they had another shape, maybe they couldn't float. And the fourth one is that the pressure that the water exerts over the ship is less than the pressure that the boat exerts over the water. And this explains, as Andres told us, with the positive buoyancy, because the ship density is lower than the water density. But we have to take into account that if boats are overloaded and their weight capacity is overcharged, the ships could also sink. So it's really simple. Don't forget, there are 4 reasons why ships float. The last ones, they are hollow. The first one, they are hollow. The second one, they are less dense. And the third one, their surface is very big, so they displace a big amount of water. And the fourth one, they have a positive buoyancy that makes them float.
Thank you very much.